Introduction: Why this matters. So, let's talk about something that's been floating around and honestly sounds like the setup to a Roblox community soap opera. The rumor is that Bplays might actually become the next community manager of GAG. Now, if you're not immediately clutching your head at the thought of that, then you either don't know BEA's history, or you haven't been paying attention to how Roblox drama always circles back to the same handful of people. Because this isn't just about one creator, one rumor, or one game. This is about what happens when developers, games, and communities forget the past, ignore all the red flags, and convince themselves that this time it'll be different. Spoiler alert. It's probably not going to be different. But to really understand why this is such a big deal, we need to rewind. We need to talk about who Bplays is, where she came from, the trail of messes left behind her, and what this could mean if GAG actually hands her the CM badge. Who is Bplays? For anyone new, Bplays is one of those Roblox personalities who carved out a recognizable space for themselves in the community, mainly through YouTube and Twitch. She's not just a casual creator. She became deeply involved in the games she covered, especially Royale High and later DTI, Dress to Impress. And that's where the first big point comes in. Unlike many Roblox YouTubers who just make content, play the game, and move on, Bee often positions herself within the community structure of these games. She wasn't just a fan or an outside observer. She was often given insider roles, community management-like responsibilities, and had direct connections to the dev teams. That closeness can be a blessing or a curse. On the one hand, it gave her credibility. People felt like she knew what was going on behind the curtain. On the other hand, it meant that when things went wrong, when updates flopped, when devs were accused of favoritism, when the player base felt betrayed, she was right there in the line of fire. Bee isn't just a creator. She's a creator who consistently ends up at the center of Roblox's messiest community dramas. And that's exactly why people are nervous about her possibly becoming the CM of GAG. The track record. Drama after drama. Let's just lay it all out. BEA's history in Roblox communities hasn't exactly been smooth sailing. Bee was one of the loudest and most recognizable faces in the Royale High community. She wasn't just reporting on the game, she was advocating for it, hyping it up, and basically serving as an unofficial spokesperson at times. But then came the controversies. Things like accusations of favoritism in how news was shared, tension between Bee and other community figures, and of course, the overall decline of Royale High's reputation in the last few years. Players began to feel like certain influencers had too much sway over the direction of the game, and BEA's name was constantly tied up in that conversation. Dress to Impress, did I? Fast forward, and Bee was again right at the center of another major Roblox community. Dress to Impress. This time, she wasn't just a YouTuber covering the game. She was literally serving as community manager. And what happened? Drama. Lots of it. Accusations that she wasn't handling criticism well. Claims that she was promoting herself and her content more than focusing on actual community needs. Players calling out favoritism and uneven enforcement of rules. And eventually it all came crashing down. Bee lost the CM role. And suddenly the person who was supposed to be building trust had become a symbol of division. Do you see the pattern here? Time and time again, Bee positions herself in these high-trust roles, and time again, it ends in controversy, burned bridges, and players losing faith. What's going on with GAG? The community is split. Some players still love the game and want it to thrive. Others feel burned, ignored, or flat-out betrayed by the developers. And what happens when a dev team feels the heat? They look for someone to take the pressure off them. Someone who can stand in front of the crowd, smile, and keep people engaged while they work behind the scenes. That's where a community manager comes in. And apparently, that's where BEA's name comes up. On paper, it almost makes sense. She has experience. She's run communities before. She knows how to hype people up, she knows how to get players excited. And she already has an audience she can bring with her. But here's the problem. GAG doesn't need hype right now. GAG doesn't need someone with baggage. GAG needs trust. And Bee is probably the worst possible pick if building trust is the actual goal. The risks of hiring B. Let's break down why this is such a risky move. Community division. B already has a split reputation. Some people love her, sure. But a huge chunk of the Roblox community straight up does not trust her. Hiring her immediately alienates those players. Reputation transfer. Remember how people associated B with Royale High's decline. Remember how her CM role at DTI ended in disaster. If she becomes CM of GG, all that baggage gets transferred onto the game. GG isn't just hiring B. They're inheriting every single piece of drama that comes with her. Short-term hype, long-term chaos. Sure, the first few weeks might be fun. Maybe she'll host events, maybe she'll get people talking again. But history shows us what happens after that. Cracks start to form, favoritism accusations pop up, and suddenly the community is more toxic than it was before. The devs won't escape criticism. If Gigi thinks hiring B is going to shield them from backlash, they're wrong. In fact, it'll probably amplify the criticism. Instead of people saying, the devs aren't communicating, they'll be saying, why did the devs hire B of all people? Comparisons. Other Roblox CMs. Let's zoom out for a second. Other Roblox games have hired community managers before. Sometimes it works. Sometimes it fails spectacularly. The difference between success and failure almost always comes down to one thing: trust. When games pick someone the community already respects, it works. When games pick someone with baggage, history, and drama, it doesn't. Hiring B is basically gambling that her fanbase outweighs her controversies. And history suggests that's not the case. The bigger picture. This isn't just about B or Gigi. This is about the Roblox community cycle. Over and over again, we see the same pattern. Developers underestimate how much community trust matters, influencers overestimate their ability to handle power, and players are left feeling unheard, disrespected, or outright betrayed. GAG hiring B as CM would just be the latest example of this pattern repeating itself. And unless Roblox communities learn from the past, we're going to keep seeing the same story play out again and again. Conclusion. Comeback story or train wreck. So where does that leave us? If B Plays actually becomes the community manager of GAG, there are only two ways this can go. Either she pulls off the biggest comeback in Roblox community history, or she drags Gigi down into the same cycle of drama we've seen play out before. And based on history, I wouldn't bet on the comeback. But hey, maybe GG thinks they can beat the odds. Maybe they think this time will be different. All I'll say is this: if they do it, grab your popcorn because we're about to watch Roblox's next great community meltdown unfold in real time.